5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I should overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Ain't no challenge for champions and chain no fear. Yeah, the champions, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, September 28th. And what is it right now? It's a little bit after 10. Gotta admit, man, I was racing around here. I've got this latency thing going on. It's driving me nuts, okay? Because I have two different setups. I've got my Canon SL3 mega dope camera, but the audio, right? I like this microphone. I want the microphone. I like hearing myself. I'm accustomed to it. It's been a long time being on radio, and you just grow accustomed to hearing yourself in your headphones. It's kind of like talking to a disembodied voice, a friend who is, well, you. And so the problem is that they don't match up. They're two different devices, so I got to calculate it by the millisecond. You know, and I know there's got to be a better way. If you're out there right now and you know a better way to make sure that it's completely lined up, okay, then that's good. Yeah, Holy Faith Media TV, it's tricky, man. It's tricky because in some scenes you'll see it, and in other ones you don't. I watch it on the big screen, right? And maybe some of you right now, you're watching this on the big screen, PALEOCRAT Diaries, right? And you say, okay, we're watching with the family, breastfeeding the baby, right? Watching some PALEOCRAT Diaries on TV. But if you do and it's real big, sometimes it's noticeable. Maybe I'm just a perfectionist, but either which way, I'm super glad to be doing this in the morning. You know, there's a reason for the switch, a couple. Number one, okay, is that most of you guys are Gen X and boomers. I mean, I hate to say it in a way, you know, I'm glad, of course. I would love, you know, I love all my boomer buddies. I love all my Gen Xers, right? But I'm in like the tail end of this. Okay, so it's kind of a funky thing. I'm at the tail end of Gen X. So I'm like the guy who's got tons of millennial friends. Most of my friends are millennial. I don't really relate too much with a lot of Gen Xers because I'm born in 78. Okay, my wife is 80. So most of my friends are actually millennials. And yet most of my interests are stuff that like the GI generation stuff. Silent generation. So it's a huge swath here. And so that's the first thing, right? So a lot of people weren't able to stay up, right? A lot of people going to bed 10 o'clock at night, you know, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night if you're old enough, right? And so I was up late and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, man, I'd love to connect with people during the day. I think it'd be better. I think it'd be better. And that way you can crank it, you know, you don't want to crank it super loud if you're at work, but you want it just enough that the SJW friend a couple cubicles down is going to hear some stuff and be like, what? So you definitely want to play that and to jam out on it. And, you know, it gives you something to do while you're working, while you're doing your homework, you know, put some headphones in. You're going to get smarter. I think there have been scientific studies on this, that if you listen to things like, you know, Mozart or PALEOCRAT Diaries, you'll do much better with school and much better with work and much better in life, okay? Much, much, much better. So that's one thing. But really, truth is, and there's evidence of this, you may hear it, and it might sound like thunder rolling, right? Or that noise right there. I don't know if you caught that. That is my son, okay? Because my wife is a stay-at-home mother. We have, of course, the newborn, Wolfgang Phoenix, the most manly little dude to ever be born, right? Born with a beard and a battle axe. Wolfgang Phoenix, he's upstairs. Lucian Ignatius, he's upstairs. And my mega hot wife, she's definitely upstairs. And so the thing is that during, you know, if I did shows at night, if I decide, okay, I'm going to do it 10 o'clock, then my day in the afternoon is toast. You got to prepare for it. But I don't like that. because family comes first to me. I love doing this. Okay. And I do this for my family. 100% of the money that comes in, the loads of cash, right? Big bags of gold that come in to this show through PALEOCRATDiaries.com, right? Through all of the means and mechanisms by which money can come to this program through what I do. 100% of that goes to my kids so that they can go to school at Sacred Heart Academy. Right? I prioritize that. And if I'm working in the evening, it makes it really tough, practically impossible, to dedicate that time to helping my kids with their homework, going to their games, being part of their life, eating at the dinner table with them, praying with them, putting them to bed. And as much as I love what I do, that is more important. And so I said, to make this happen, I need to go mornings. I need to do it, man. I need to go mornings. So this is where we are. So I'm really glad to see all of you here. And we have a really great show for you. Let's go right now. We're just going to go straight to the news. Okay. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and switch that over. Check this out. Bwam. Okay. And I don't like this little box over there. What's up with that? Okay. That's another thing that I might need help figuring out. How to get that thing out. You try to push the little X, right? X. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. But I want to start, first of all, start the day with things that you can pray about, things to keep on the mind, people that need your help. One of them, it's a sad story. Former Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale is hospitalized after threatening suicide. There he is right there. The guy's a giant. I don't know if you've ever seen him. A lot of people may have seen him on TV. But for perspective, right? See that guy on the left? I'm probably to that guy's shoulder. I'm a whopping 5'7", right? And that comes as weird to a lot of people. I should tell everybody, no, I'm lying. You know, I'm like 6'7". Right? I'm really tall. I've had people say that. They thought when they used to hear me on radio that I was, much older than I am. And then people who see me, they're surprised. They're like, well, I just thought you were much taller. Said, no, man. They said that in Napoleon, too. So, here we go. Yeah, now he's really big. Local 10 News report. Former campaign manager for Donald Trump, Brad Parscale, who was replaced by the president less than 4 months before November's vote, was reportedly armed with a gun and threatening to harm himself at his Fort Lauderdale home on Sunday afternoon. The police said that the armed subject was transported to Broward Health Medical Center, where he was placed under a Baker Act. And I didn't know what that was. Of course, they did a good job. They did a good job talking about that and explaining what that is. It allows the police to detain a person who is potentially a threat to himself or others. Okay, he was taken to a hospital. I guess the wife contacted police, worried that he was suicidal and that he had firearms. Is it Tim Murtaugh? Brad Parscale is a member of our family. It's the Trump campaign, by the way. And we all love him. Yeah, it's a campaign spokesman. And he blames, quote, disgusting personal attacks from Democrats and disgruntled rhinos that have gone too far. So keep him in your prayers today. It's a tough deal. It is a tough deal. Woo. I've been there. In fact, I'm not even kidding. I've actually been there. Now, I've never had to deal with the Baker Act. But anyone familiar with my story, number one, you know that I'm bipolar. I talk about that. I talk about mental health issues and veterans regularly. I have for years of my life. But there were two different occasions, and you can hear about this. I talk about it in it's really emotional. There's an emotional video that you can find on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/PALEOCRAT. And it's called, I think it's called Marriage and Madness. It talks about the story of me and my wife and the sacrifices that she's gone through being married to a wildly manic media man and the kind of things that we've been through. Two different occasions where I've been in a mental hospital for rehabilitation. Both times, the first time was like 2 weeks. And that was during my time in the Navy. Second time, much later, connected to even things like drug abuse, right? Wild, ecstatic behavior, impulsive. Which impulsivity, I mean, that's part of it. And that's part of the reason for the regimen of medication that I'm on now. And it's been a long time. I mean, I'm talking, this was, I think, 2010. Been following the divorce of my family, my parents. So, I mean, it was a big deal. Even late in life, that was a, mind-boggling thing. And so, but I understand this. I know what it's like to be in that place. And I know what it's like to have a wife who cares. And a wife who sits there and says, I love you, but right now you're a danger to yourself and you need help. Okay? So please, keep Brad in your prayers. It's a big deal about that. Yeah. Keep Judge Amy Coney Barrett, keep her in your prayers. She's being blasted left and right by crazy fanatics, okay? And look, I mean, normally when I would say something like that, cuckoo pants or crazy fanatics, raging weirdos, right? Crazy wackos. When I say that kind of thing, normally it's like a ha-ha, moment. This actually is not, okay? Because this is just sick. This is sick. Author claims Barrett adopted children just to shield herself from accusations of racism. Oh, and it's not just an author. It's Loonbird Ibram Kendi. We talked about him on the last episode. He's the phone blown scholar guy that is raking in ridiculous sums of money with all these promises about, well, I'm going to put out all this scholarly material on my critical race garbage. And lo and behold, he can't. Or he doesn't. Maybe he's just too lazy. Maybe he's too lazy. No, I don't want to blame him for laziness. Let's just fault on the side of saying he's scrambling like mad to try to figure out a system that just doesn't work. Yeah, the stats just aren't there, bro. What a crazy guy. That guy's got a problem. We're going to talk about this stuff. Apparently that makes Barrett a white colonizer, according to anti-racist. And again, that's the new Jim Crow, guys. That's the new Jim Crow. Anti-racism. It's a loaded term. Open it up, and what you're going to find is a Pandora's box filled with all sorts of wickedness. Playing Mr. Potato Head with words. Kendi claims that Barrett and her husband are white colonizers who adopted black children. Did he do that, or did he say that this is, so he just used it as an example? He just, rather than just seeing that, he's like, oh no, I'm going to use this as an example to say this does happen. Because I think he's complained that people are saying, well, you called her a white colonizer. He's like, no, I'm just used her as an example of the fact that white colonizers did this kind of thing. Oh, what a sicko. Adopting black children in order to civilize savage children. How about the fact that they're freaking poor, man? How about the fact that they live in third world countries, ravaged with voodoo, satanic practices, witchcraft, disease, hunger? How about that, dude? Man. In order to civilize them. How about save them? In their superior ways. No, you know what? Okay, let's just say it as it is. Yes, man. And you know it too. You ain't moving back. You ain't going over to Africa. You're not saying, I'm going to pick up and move to a third world country because we're all equal. Man, you're a joker, dude. It's morning time, folks. I'm this way in the morning. Oh my gosh. Oh. But yes, we are. It is. It's superior. I'm a Western chauvinist. Haha. Yeah. Proud of that. Proud of that. It is superior. It doesn't mean that those people in their dignity are less, or that their cultures and civilization have nothing to afford, as if it's a total loss. Man. But see, this is what you get when you're in that crazy world like the National Museum of African American History and Culture. We've talked about it so many times. When they put out those slides on critical race theory and issues about whiteness, and they talked about quantitative analysis, linear thinking, science and math, progress. What? It's what you get. Art of the Meme in the comments section. By the way, when you comment, you might be, let's say you're on YouTube, you might be the only guy. I don't know how many people are commenting under the video he's watching. I'm all over the place, though. So in a whole bunch of different places. If you're commenting, it's going to show up in a major feed. Let's go ahead. Actually, I'll put that up there. Let's see here. Let's do news and comments. There we go. Boom. Okay. So what this does is it feeds it into everything. I'm going to make it so it's a little bit better. A little bit better. Why not? I like that comment section. So yeah, you got Art of the Meme says, the articles I read about Pascal this morning made it seem like he cracked because he was demoted in response to that first Tulsa rally. I don't know if I buy it all. Where'd you read it? What are you reading, man? West Ace, good morning to you too, man. Bethany Heikela, yes, good morning to you. Sunshine, back at you. Back at you. Yeah, it's raining today, but you know what? Sunshine in here. All right. That's just unbelievable, though. So yeah, pray for her. She's gonna go through hell. Because she's got demons coming at her left and right. She knows it, though. She's based. Lasers glowing out of the eyes. The cross burning a flame in her heart. She's surrounded by demons, man. Here's another one. Surrounded by demons. Pray for this person. For these people involved. National news blackout. Black female organizer of Black Lives Matter plows car into crowd of Trump supporters. Arrested for attempted murder. Look at this. Yeah, pretty rough, man. It's kind of weird, man. I heard all about Charlottesville. Remember that, folks? Remember Charlottesville? They keep talking about it over and over and over, lumping all the white people, all the Trump supporters into this whole thing. Oh, it's weird. It looks like somebody did something similar, champ. A Black Lives Matter organizer. Oh. At some point, even the most obtuse among us, and pray for the organizer. I don't want to just bash on somebody, man. I care about them. They're lost. They're not just philosophically bunker town, okay? They're not just out of their gourd when it comes to ethics and stuff. But their souls are lost. These people are literally lost. At some point, even the most obtuse among us must be able to discern what's happening, right? Shocking moment, BLM organizer plows her car into crowd of Trump supporters in California and injures 2 before she's arrested and charged with attempted murder. I can hear it now. I can hear it now from the people that don't understand the Heidian concept of the brain being the press secretary, okay, that defends all of the beliefs at all cost until they simply can't anymore. And even then, the cognitive dissonance. They'll go, well, they were just injured. Somebody died in Charlottesville. Yeah, because intent doesn't matter. And that's also true. They hear that in their critical studies courses, all their gender and ethnic and racial studies. Yes, a Black Lives Matter activist plowed her car into a crowd of Trump supporters in California. That this isn't the biggest story in America is a reminder that white privilege does not exist. In fact, black privilege does. You know what? There was a professor that made this claim. Lots and lots of trouble. Lots and lots of trouble. I don't know if he had 10. Well, you think he had tenure. But even then, good luck, brother. I'm with you. Okay? I'm with you. But pray for her. Pray for those injured. Pray for her. Pray for this lady. I think this is the last one. Last of the morning prayers, right? Students for Life Action staff member punched in the face in front of the Supreme Court while peacefully protesting. There's a video of it. Oh, they decked a chick. Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's great. Pro-life activist Autumn Schimmer. Students for Life Action team member who's part of Student for Life's SCOTUS squad was punched for simply peacefully advocating for the confirmation of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Police were called and an arrest was made after a woman approached SFLA Action Communications and Market Manager Autumn Schimmer, 23, who is speaking on behalf of ACB. In the context, apparently there's a video. Breitbart's got it. You can go to about marker. I love it when it says go to about this, and it's like really specific. Oh, maybe it's 1 hour and 2 minutes. Let's just assume that's what it is. If that's the case, otherwise it's like at the 1 minute and 2 second. I guess it has to be. Otherwise, man, that protester was just like really angry, like right away, just ticked. The context is that of a crowd, including about 5% pro-life advocates, 95% abortion supporters. Schimmer was holding a sign saying, "I can't believe these feminists are protesting a woman." Yeah. For that, she was attacked. Of course. Yeah, of course. Because that's what feminism is about. It actually, you know what? Truth be told, yeah, most of it is, yeah, pretty much. It is. It's a power play. Violent. I mean, it tends towards this all the time. And it tends toward the kind of mind that's like, insisting that it's peaceful all the while pulling its hair out 24/7. And have you seen those eyeballs? Huge, massive eyeballs whenever they're mad. Their faces and stuff. I mean, it's very difficult. They don't have a lot of self-control. And self-loathing now. I mean, of course there's self-loathing. Feminists nowadays, they're telling the ladies that it doesn't matter if you're even a biological woman. What matters is the avatar in the brain. It's the brain game that matters. If you think you are, you are. Yeah, I met a lot of people in the mental clinic that thought that way. The woman who punched her fled into the crowd. Oh, yeah, that's typical too. That's typical too. And I'll be honest with you guys. Look, I don't believe, I'm this kind of guy. I don't believe in violence, right? I don't like it. It's a last resort for me. And there's only rare occasions, right? And specific kinds of occasions that even necessitate it, right? If somebody's beating up on a kid, I'm going to take that guy down, right? If somebody is, beating up a handicapped person, yeah, a kid with a mental disability, taking a bat to the face of some kid with Down syndrome, yeah, I'm going to beat that dude to the ground. I mean, that's just what it is. A guy beating up a woman, same thing. If I see a dude sitting there, bam, bam, on a chick, I'll defend, if a guy's fighting a guy, my first impulse might simply be, what are those guys fighting about? It's a little bit different. Okay, and look, sometimes dudes are just going up beating on other dudes. And that ain't right. And I'll go in to break it up, right? But it's a little bit different in the way I view it, right? If you disagree, let me know. Let me know. Okay? But in this situation, some chick comes up. If I'm at a rally, or I'm at some kind of protest, or I'm walking on the street in my MAGA hat, and some chick comes up and punches me, dude, I might sock her back. You punch me in the face, but it's a mace, blam. At that point, I don't care. I don't care if you're a boy or girl. All things are equal in that case. I'm down. Screw around and find out. That ain't right. And if you come up and you make that move on somebody you don't know, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or girl. Right? The Down syndrome kid, that's different. I ain't gonna pop a Down syndrome kid. Okay. Even if he was a communist, I wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. But yeah, pray. Pray for Shimmer, but also pray for the crazy maniacs out there, the people, these kind of demoniac people out there protesting this. They come up and punch people and run. Pray for that person. Pray that the hornets of hell will be unleashed and she'll be just terribly convicted to come forward and admit what she did, knowing in fact that she's guilty of assault. Pray. Pray for the troops. Okay, so there's one more. All right, yeah. Just pray for them that they actually withdraw. Because here's the thing. I'm kind of upset about this a little bit. Like, I've been against interventionism for a long time. The neocons suck, okay? Their foreign policy is garbage. It's resulted in ridiculous amounts of death and destruction. I've opposed it for a long time. You can see it in the vintage playlist of vintage paleo radio shows on my channel. In fact, I just shared with a friend of mine. I just shared a video that I made. It's a 2-part video. It's only a couple minutes long, each one. I think it's unlisted, though. It might be on my channel, but you'd have to go and actually go to my channel to see it, I think, if that's how it works. But it's about the drones and blowback. I was a Ron Paul guy. I don't agree with him when it comes to free trade or certain things to do with immigration. I'm not an Austro-libertarian by any means or measure, right? It's one of the major disagreements I have with Acton Institute or Timothy Gordon and others. I'm simply, it's not my thing, right? I've been an opponent of that for a long time. But I've been radical, just hardcore, in my belief that we need to bring the boys and the girls home. We need to be a nation that's a city on a hill, not a meddler. Not going around and saying, well, we're the best at kung fu, so I'm getting involved in any family dispute in town. I don't believe that America has been given the sword for the globe. I reject that. The thing is Pompeo's talking about it like, well, if Iraq doesn't, keep the militias at bay that Iran is supporting, right? And did they support Iran? That if they don't get those groups under control, then we're bringing the boys home, and the girls home. And I go, do it anyway. Do it anyway. And this PJ Media, I like PJ Media, but look at this. I'm not even going to go through this article very much. Right here. The withdrawal would also be a propaganda coup for Iran. But America's patience with these people is at an end. And Trump has probably figured that an Arab-Israeli detente would isolate Tehran so that the mullahs couldn't exploit the withdrawal. It doesn't matter. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't. It should not matter. Okay? Because that right there is kind of neocon thinking. That's the thinking like, well, we don't want to take the troops out because then what's going to happen? We can't predict that it's going to end up the way we want. And you go, yeah, dude, you got to stop doing that. You got to stop thinking this way. That's how you're treating it. You get into the situation. Now, I understand that. There's things we should do. But that doesn't involve keeping our dudes on the ground, our ladies on the ground. And to be honest, I hate having to say, and ladies on the ground. I'll get flack for that. But pray for them. Pray they come home. Pray that President Trump just does it. Brings them home. Yeah. So those are the prayers. Oh, I guess we have one more. No, it's not really. We're moving on to the news, but yeah, I mean, you should really pray for Joe Biden. I put out there recently that I have a suspicion. And look, I don't know, maybe other people have, yeah, I mean, how can I close that? I hate that. Ugh. Yeah, so I click close and it just doesn't do nothing. It's just, nope, we're staying on. We are staying on. Well, at least it's Trump, right? But I've been saying, I have a feeling that Joe Biden, man, I think dude's got coronavirus, or that he has, that he's had it. I said, look at the way he's acting. Number one, he won't leave his house. His wife does. Why is that? Why will his wife leave and yet not him? What's going on, man? And it says, oh, and he wears a mask. What does he wear a mask even around his wife? Yeah, but this right here is not even a new article. When is this? Oh, it's close enough. August 23rd. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden has not been tested. What the? Has not been tested for the coronavirus. Though he's confident he could not have been infected. Well, because that's how it works. Wow. Oh, Scientific American, because Joe Biden's into science. He's confident. No. Yeah. Oh, do tell, fine sir. Do tell. He's confident that he could not have been. Scientific American, you're a joke. Liars. We support Joe Biden because he supports science. No, he doesn't. Look at this. No, he does not. He's not been tested. Kate Bedingfield, deputy Biden campaign manager, said on ABC News this week. She added that, moving forward, should he need to be tested, he certainly would. But he's not been tested yet. Remember when they came at Donald Trump about that? Remember that when he was like, no, I haven't been tested. Why would I need to be tested? Because you're the president. These same people. Oh, okay, yeah, Biden hasn't. He swears to God up and down, crosses hearts and hope to die. Stick a needle in his eye. I can trust him. I can't trust him any more than I could throw a circus midget. There's no way. No way. Not when you're coughing. Joe Biden, it's really nice to see you today. The guy's breathing very, very heavily. Super dupe heavy breathing. Man. Coughing in his hand still. You see that? On the news. I watched a video. I gotta find it. It was so hilarious. I wish I had it right now. It's this guy. There's a lot of these guys on the right that make these videos that I never knew of them, and they have huge audiences though, which is I love it. But there's this guy, and he's doing this kind of video. He's on one side of the screen, and Biden's on the other, and Biden's sitting there, breathe, and I think all he did was just sit up out of a chair. So terrible. And the guy watching is sitting there like, ooh, man. And then Biden goes, ugh, and he coughs right in his hand into the microphone. It's super loud. And the guy goes, oh no. And I'm like, dude, what show is Biden on where he coughs in his hands twice? And the person even goes, Mr. Biden, we don't do that anymore. They're trying to coach him in real time. Oh yeah. And then 2 minutes later, cough. And then he smiles, that awkward smile of a guy who's lost, just lots of faculty going on. Lots of diminished faculty. Beddington said Biden, 77, has followed the strictest protocols. Okay, yeah, that works. Yeah, to prevent exposure to the virus. And because he followed the strictest protocols, the strictest ones, see, that's why he's in his basement. He's wearing that PPE stuff, man. Strictest protocols. He's wearing PPE. That's what's going to happen. He's going to get in the debate. He's going to wear that astronaut suit. That's what's going to happen. Like the brother from Frank McCluskey. Let's see. She said everyone is around Biden is undergoing the appropriate testing. So everyone around Biden is undergoing the appropriate testing. Dude. Yeah, believe me. Believe me, guys. We're all being tested. He doesn't need to. Why are you being tested, but he's not? Why? Everybody around him is being tested. It kind of makes me wonder, because they all know homeboy's got it. Homeboy's dancing with Rona. He has not had the virus, she said. You don't even know that. He hasn't had it. You could be asymptomatic. See, man, not scientific. Biden has avoided public campaign events. Almost like he's got the plague or something. Oh my gosh. And he's regularly worn a mask when interacting with anyone other than his wife, Dr. Jill. His insistence on wearing a mask, sometimes even in his wife's company. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. And his refusal to travel for campaign events have been ridiculed by everybody. Frequently saying he's in his basement. Yeah, the guy's quarantined out. It's like a one-man leper colony down there. Many health experts believe widespread testing is crucial. And this is the final line. And look, this is hilarious. USA Today, who wrote this nonsense? Who wrote this? William Cummings. Hey, William, why didn't you, I mean, I can gather this and put this together. But this is basically saying Biden's campaign is full of crap. Many health experts believe widespread testing is crucial to containing the virus because many people carrying the infection do not have any symptoms. Those asymptomatic people can then infect others without even knowing they are sick. Oh, they should have said this to old Kate Bedingfield. Yeah, George Stephanopoulos won't do that. He's a partisan goon. So pray for Joe Biden. And help me find something out, man. I've wondered, I don't know. Somebody go online right now, put in quotation marks, Corona Joe. Filling up my coffee. I got a huge, massive jug here of coffee. I don't know if you saw that. Massive. I don't drink that whole thing. I had a buddy who did, though. I had a buddy. We were just talking about this. I was talking about this with a friend of mine. Buddy, right? Watching out for us upstairs. He's gone now. He's my best friend. Back in the day, we were bandmates and stuff. His name was Scott Farley. And I miss this guy. In fact, I heard that there was a possible plan in the works about a fire. We were all going to get together and have a big bonfire in his honor and stuff. Bring guitars, maybe. Play guitars. I have his guitar. It was given to my daughter, actually, before she died. But he used to just chug that. So when I said this morning, I posted on Facebook and Twitter that I was going to be jazzed out on tons of this cold brew coffee. A buddy reached out to me and said, I knew a guy who did that. I knew a guy. Yep. Pray for us, Scott. All right. Will Chris Wallace interrupt President Trump? When is this debate, by the way? I mean, it's supposed to be pretty soon. Again, man, I mean, how are they going to do this? How in the world? Everybody's scared because everybody knows, right? All the Democrats are like, I just don't think Joe should do it. And they're all blaming Trump and saying, oh, it's because he doesn't believe in facts. Because he doesn't play by the rules of the game. Oh, yes, he does. Oh, yes, he does. And the real reason, we all know the real reason. Everybody does. It's the reason why you go almost anywhere, right? Any of these Democratic Party headquarters all over the place. And they'll have a sign that says Biden-Harris, but then they have a big poster of Harris. Looking all inspirational, kind of like that Obama hope and change picture. Right? Kind of that modern revolutionary look. The kind of thing you see at Teen Vogue or something. Looking up in the air to the side. I've got crazy ideas. Let me implement them and destroy you. But we all know, and just recently, not only that, how long ago was it? Was it just within the last week when she was talking about being, and she was talking in a way that she was going to be the commander-in-chief? And everyone's like, oh, maybe she just hasn't gotten out of the habit of campaigning when she was for herself. Oh, yeah, okay. No, man. Running for president, man. Because Corona Joe is in trouble. Corona Joe is in trouble. You know, they've had private meetings about it. Where they've addressed him privately, and he's like, look, I know, guys, it's bad. It's real bad. Will Chris Wallace interrupt President Trump, play favorites, or grab Joe Biden's notes like Lester Holt did in 2016's first debate with Hillary Clinton? Do you guys remember that? I do. I remember the video, the footage that they had of the person giving the notes. Will Chris Wallace interrupt President Trump as much as Lester Holt did in the first 2016 debate? Will he also allow Joe Biden to use hand signals to communicate with him? Or will he accept Biden's notes after the debate? If the debate goes forward, we'll soon see. This is over at Gateway Pun. Who wrote this one? Joe Hoff. We reported after the first debate in 2016 that not only did Holt interrupt candidate Trump, but some experts suggested he took hand signals from Hillary Clinton as well. There's a video, and I don't know if it's going to show. I just don't know. Yeah, rub it. Yeah, the hand signals. Rubbing her face in a manner similar to a baseball manager. There's a picture here. Yes. Fastball down the center, please. That's what she's saying. Give me one of those fastballs we talked about. We cooked up at the Spirit cooking dinner together, Lester. And remember when everyone was like, no, I think Lester Holt is like a Republican, right? Dude. During the debate, yeah, she rubbed her face in a manner similar to a baseball manager. Also, after the first debate, a mysterious man grabbed Hillary's notes off of her podium and handed them to Lester Holt as he departed the stage. Yeah. Kind of weird, almost like they're in cahoots. They are cahooting it up, man. Isn't it true? Ain't this obvious that it's like, why, part of me, like, I know they got to play the game, right? But I also sit there and I say, it's hard for me to talk about and to dignify with anything more than a hit job. Because you sit there and you go, for all intents and purposes, the media functions as the Democratic Party's, a wing of the Democratic Party. I mean, it just does. It does. Even if they say, well, it's not intentional, or even if they say, well, but we have objective measures in place, they can't get around the statistics that demonstrate that they're in the bag. Not just with their reporting, but with their votes. You can go and watch the the meltdowns on election 2016. Drinking. These people were shook. I mean, first of all that hard work they did at rigging the election didn't work. All the fake polls they put out did not convince, did not persuade or dissuade MAGA men and women around this country from going and voting for President Donald Trump. So they boo-hooed it up. Wah, wah, wah. What are they going to do this time? How do you guys think they're going to fare? How do you think they're going to fare? So, all right. With apologies asked, what is a paleocrat? I am a paleocrat. I got flack for saying that I was the one and only. I am. I guess there's a website now. I used to own PALEOCRAT.com, and I got rid of it. And there was a guy, he's into paleontology and stuff. And there was a paleocrat party. It was an aspiring third party. And the platform is basically me. It just is. Don't know who made that. It was not me. In fact, I don't know who did that. I tried reaching out to them a couple different times. Never got back with me. Paleocrat's a word I made up. Began as a moniker. Taken from two words. Okay. One for ancient. And they're both, Latin? Greek? Yeah, Greek. Paleo. So you got this idea that something is ancient and old. And crat, right? Coming from the word meaning, we see for aristocrat or democrat. Or Republicrat, right? Aristocat is a little bit different, But it means authority or rule, or order. So it's the ancient rule. It's based on the idea from the book of Jeremiah of the paths, the two ways, and to go to the ancient path. But I am the paleocrat. Capital P, OG, that's me. Art of the Meme wrote, I believe I read it in the New York Post. That's not bad. What a suggested story on Facebook. Man, don't do that. Yeah, take it with a grain of salt, as I usually do. I'm with you, Art of the Meme. You woke up to people tagging you about Trump's tax returns. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, and you ask a good question. Why did they miss all the Hunter Biden payments coming from Russia during the course of the Mueller probe? Yes, dude. Yes. And not just payments, man. They're talking like human trafficking stuff, dude. That guy is a total wreck, man. Hunter Biden is the albatross. And Joe Biden's a real jerk, by the way. I want everybody think about this. If you knew that your son, who's got all sorts of problems, okay, he's a troublemaker, all sorts of crazy drugs and stuff, all sorts of money laundering, right? Gets in this racket with a company, right? A bunch of different companies giving him money way beyond what he's worth, all about influence. If you had a son like that. Okay. And you found out that your son had made a baby with somebody. That's your grandson. Okay. Boy. Would you want to see, at least to see that grandchild, to recognize that grandchild as part of your family? Especially if that girl doesn't seem like a raging maniac. She just seems like, and even if she was a raging maniac, you would want to be, wouldn't you, a good influence on that grandchild? I don't think Joe Biden has ever contacted them, never recognized them in anything. Nothing. It's like Bill Clinton's half-black son. Oh. Cherie says feminism is a nightmare. Equality is one thing, but hating men is gender discrimination. Absolutely. Absolutely. She also said, Grandma taught me if you want to hit like a man, you better be able to take a hit like a man. Dang. Your grandma is based. Grandma was, right? Is still. You know what I'm talking about. I know you. Yeah. Awesome woman, by the way. Ashley Postma said, I saw a video where he said he is now getting routine tests. He just doesn't know when they are or how often. Oh my gosh. Yes. First time I've seen your show. You're a riot, man. Keep it strong. I'll be following you. Thank you, Ashley. Yes, I appreciate I appreciate it very, very, very much. Melissa asks, you sure you need more coffee? Yes. I didn't get much sleep. This is that transition phase, you know? You're sitting there and it's like, oh, I'm working late nights, you know, staying up super late, getting the show done. And when you're recording and you're like me, you know, this kind of like high octane deal going on. And you're on till midnight or 12:30, and then afterwards you're talking to the manager, or you're talking to different people who are listening, reaching out to you, answering messages and email and all of that. Man, it's tough. It's tough to wind down. You know, you got to do some serious prayer and meditation. Do some Wim Hof, man, like 40 minutes of that. Get all tingly. But yes, not too much coffee though, Melissa. Thank you for the comment, by the way. Yeah, Lurk Gertz. I'm your millennial friend that goes to bed at 9. Yeah, it's true. I'm telling you, I've got millennial friends. That go to bed at 9. And so that's why we got to do the morning show. We got to do it this way. Okay? I'm glad all of you are watching. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who've tuned in for this. Okay? All right. Let's go back to the main banner. No, I don't want to. Let's go back to the news for a second. There we go. All right. I mentioned this on the last show. Archbishop Vigano issues warning to Catholics at annual prayer breakfast. I don't think they even read that, by the way. President Trump is preparing to fight against demonic forces of deep state and New World Order. It's a little bit more than that, by the way. Deep church. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano. And there's a great news piece about this, by the way. You should go and listen to it. Over at Holy Faith TV on YouTube. You got to find it. A couple days ago. Not yesterday, but the day before. I heard that the guy doing the voiceover is really smooth. You got to hear it. It's a good one. Put together real well. Great editing, too, by the way. Former Apostolic Nuncio to the United States wrote a letter this year for the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast, which was held on Wednesday. The organizers chose not to read the letter during the breakfast. Of course not. Later, LifeSite News published the entire letter in full. And here it is. I just want to read this part here, a couple parts. We're talking about people who see in President Donald Trump the greatest defender of the supreme values of Christian civilization. That's a based guy right there. That dude's a Western chauvinist. Right? Get him a Perry. He needs a Perry stat. Right? And Fred Perry wouldn't like me saying that. Apparently, it's made him grumpy. Blah. Tough luck, buddy. Of life, from conception to natural death. Of the natural family composed of one man and one woman and children. And of love for the homeland. One nation under God. And most importantly, he stands for defending the right to freely practice our faith, thus allowing us more fully to honor God. The presidential elections in November represent an epochal challenge. Is that how you pronounce that? Not epical. Epochal challenge. A biblical challenge. The outcome of which will be decisive, not only for the United States of America, but for the whole world. And this is the end of it. It's the last part. It's the whole letter is good, by the way. You got to go read it. After the show, go read it. It is necessary that all of you, Catholics of America, are well aware of the role that Providence has deigned to entrust to your president, and that you are aware of the extraordinary battle that he is preparing to fight against the demonic forces of the deep state and against the New World Order. I'm at your side with fervent prayer, together with millions of Catholics, and with all people of goodwill throughout the world. Our trust rests in God, the Almighty, whose right hand always works wonders. Totally true. Totally true. And this is what it's about. We are at war. I've said this before, and I know there are people who say, well, that's kind of a little bit sensationalistic, don't you think? And I say, no, no, not at all. We are at war right now. We have kind of a cartoon concept in our brain of what it's like to be in a civil war and say, oh, well, you got groups lined up. And that's what it is, right? Like there was a declaration and then bam, it happened. They don't understand the conditions that lead up to it. And if that would be classified rightly so, even if not the proximate starting point of a civil war that can be with the declaration, but the ultimate, to say, look, there were cultural conditions, cultural factors or events that took place that if you go back and you look, you say, yep, this provides the environment wherein such a declaration would even make sense. And I've been saying and warning for so long, saying, look, without any kind of cohesion, any kind of social contract, right? This idea, a shared sense of values. And I mentioned on the last show, I said, even the social gospel, this kind of this American social gospel, that this idea of Christianity that's real loosey-goosey, that everybody complains about and says, well, that's the kind of Creaster stuff, right? Christmas and Easter Christian stuff. That was also, yes, and you know what? That was a symbol. That's a sign and a proof that the conditions of your culture are such that even the people who don't really believe still identify to some degree, whether sincerely or by pressure or by both, to participate in something that has a shared sense and a common sense of right and wrong, of what's true and false, of where we came from, of who we are, of where we're going. That's toast. That's toast, man. And so we're in a world now where these civilizations are divergent, further and further and further away, to such a point that, we've always had splits. But to sit there and say now it's so far gone, and everything in the middle, what do? There's no place in the middle anymore, which is why we've got this cancel culture thing. That's why we've got it. Because there's no redemption. Because there's no sense of this is what is sin. This is what is wrong. This is what makes someone culpable. It's gone. That old way of thinking is gone. But that was what was the underpinning, right? What made sense of things like, don't hit a man when he's down. To turn the other cheek. It's rough. And it's not just here. Perry Curtis. Perry from Seaforth, Ontario, Canada. We are all at war. Yeah. All at war. It was inevitable. That's why when people sit there, the godless don't understand. It's and I know this. I was an apostate for years of my life. And I had ideas for a while. It was a time when I turned away from God that I was so angry. And I felt like if I had any beliefs or values that were similar to what I had before, that I hadn't truly let go, and that a godless world meant a certain thing, and to a certain degree, that's totally true. In fact, it's like an inevitability almost. Because you can't just play Mr. Potato Head and say, well, I like this value and that one. Look at what that does with Christmas. There are a lot of unbelievers, like I used to be, where I still celebrated Christmas every single year. But then it dawned on me, if I don't believe in the little manger, if I don't believe in that child, the Christ child, if I don't believe in the core of this, then what the heck are we doing? Well, it's a good time to get together and have this. And you say, yeah, but why that day? Why that season? Why any of it? And people might, there are people who may not celebrate Christmas. But the thing is it serves in this case as an example to show that, if you change belief systems, you may like a world that made sense, that old world. So post-Christian people may look back and say, well, I like it better when there's no cancel culture. And you go, well, okay, well, what is sin? What's culpability? Who determines that? How many Hail Marys for, any given wrong? I use that flippantly a little, but simply to mean, what ought you to do? What is required of you if you have committed a certain wrong? Who says so? By what authority? What happens if you've completed it? How do you determine if it's authentic or not? Every single one of these things comes out in the conversations, or not even conversations, in what we see with cancel culture. Someone can say they're sorry. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Someone could say they're sorry and change their life and completely, do flips and jumping jacks and cartwheels and everything else, trying to do everything they're commanded by the mob to do. Doesn't matter. And the fact that we're dealing with a freaking mob. What? There is no more between you and God and the person you offended. Now it's everybody. Well, I heard about it. Well, I'm this race too. I'm a gender like you. And they're all in on it. What did that have to do with you, champ? That person was black. That person was a woman. They have no concept of it. I remember this back when the godless would talk about, this is, 10 years ago. There was serious conversations in the atheist community about do we have a 10 commandments? Even if they did, let's say they came up with some good ones. Why would it be incumbent upon anybody? Why? And if they say, well, it's not necessarily, it is a really good idea, though. And that's ultimately what they've got. They might have a good idea, in fact. But the point is, even with that really good idea, they're in the same world as groups like, let's say, Sunday Assembly. That's the secular, churchy-like group. Okay? They don't believe that they're not dogmatic at all, right? It's basically a social gathering. It's all purely social gathering. And a lot of them may say, well, that's just like church. No, it's not. No, it is not. Because at the end of the day, if you ask a Christian, say, well, why are you going to church? They can give you a bunch of reasons, and many of those may be social. But they can also say, you're not to forsake the assembling together. The Lord's Day. The resurrection. There's all different things that they could say that are bigger than themselves and their interest in the moment. Whereas a secular person would get to the point where we did. I mean, look, we would wake up. We used to go to Sunday Assembly. I tried it. I spoke there. They're nice enough people. I have friends that run it. Not internationally or anything, but local. Good people, good-hearted individuals. I'm not dogging them. But at the end of the day, why pick the topic you're talking about? Who's picking it? What are you going to do on next Sunday? Why are you singing? Is it just for joy to say, we're just singing because we're happy? What if you're not? What role does sadness play? What role does suffering play in your system? Because a lot of people suffer. And why should someone wake up and say, you know what, other than I just want to go? Is there any compelling? It's the same problem with cancel culture. It's the same problem with, and people can say, well, that's just one thing. You're talking about cancel culture. I'm saying yes, but that is a symptom. That is an evidence of a huge problem. Something way beyond a Twitter war. It's a symptom of a civil war. It's a symptom of a godless civilization that unless it takes a knee for Jesus, it's going to result in blood. I am sorry to say this. I don't want to start your morning like that. Who wants to start their morning and go, oh, I watched a guy in the morning talk about bloodshed in the streets? Yeah. But here's the deal. Look in history and say, all right, we've been here before. Nothing's new. Right? And you go, America's seen this kind of thing. And there's reason to hope. Because in the West, we have experienced great awakenings. And those were during times that were totally hit. Wickedness run amok. We can have that now. I pray for another great awakening. A better one than in the past. The great awakenings of the past. They were experiential, emotionalistic. They didn't last. Right? They came with great signs and wonders. And years later, we can look at the data and find that it also came with increased amounts of children out of wedlock. Right? Because there wasn't anything in place that said, here's how we move forward. Here's how we can not just escape the doom, but begin to implement a system, whether it's reintroducing something old or bringing in something new that gives glory to God and stability for mankind. In the comments, I attend church because God commanded me to. As a member, I've made a covenant with God to obey his commands. I fail sometimes, but I try my hardest to obey God's law. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's not just simply, well, I want to because I like the social club. Mo says, isn't this a great awakening? Yeah, actually, there's a really great article that I'm going to talk about this. We got to cook, man. It's 11:15. This is good. Good morning, guys, by the way. Good morning to the new ones. Sweet Harmony stumbled on this. Very interesting thoughts. Thank you very much, Sweet Harmony. I hope that you come back and stick with us. There's a bunch of shows. You got to check it out. Adam Heikela, great guy. If you don't know about him, find him on Facebook. Great dude. Right? A wonderful activist. We are in a civil war because we have people elected or appointed to positions of authority that do nothing but abuse their authority in order to have unjust power over the people. That is one reason why. It's one reason why. We are a representative constitutional republic. Yes, and thus we have power over our government. We as Americans have been tricked from birth to consent to giving up our God-given rights to a corrupt government. It's time to rebuild the republic. Hashtag Raise the Republic 2020. Yeah. Art of the Meme says, if the Democrats really think that we'll forget the vitriol of the last 4 years against us, they have another thing started. I'll never advocate two wrongs making a right, but that's how I feel, right? Being slanted unjustifiably as a racist for years on end. Yes. Yes. I said that a couple days ago. Do you remember, the people watching, do you remember Andrew Breitbart? You should. Breitbart News, okay? Andrew Breitbart was pretty awesome. Amazing guy, right? Righteous anger. But there's a video where he's talking about this, and there's a great meme of this with this awesome kind of, cool music in the background and stuff, really intense. And he's talking and he's saying, look, he's talking about how conservative people with our values have been maligned, how they've been mocked. They've been mocked for being stupid. They've been lied about, calling them racist, calling them shills for Russia. Lies, one after another after another. And they've watched their president that they voted for, they've watched for 4 years. For 4 years. As these loon tunes in the media and the Democratic Party, Pencil Neck Schiff and the whole gang, lie and lie and lie again. And they think that we're just going to all forget. Do you not understand the principle of blowback? Fine, sir. You've played your hand too far. It is on like Donkey Kong. War. War. And we didn't start it. But we can end it. And believe me, let's get this booger down here. I didn't realize I was doing that. We're in a war. And this is Horowitz, okay? Conservative legend David Horowitz. Author of the new best-selling book, Blitz, Trump Will Smash the Left and Win. He was saying in a recent news talk conversation on the radio, we're in a war. My book, Blitz, shows we're already in a civil war. What the Democrats did in 2016 is what you call treason. They seceded from the Union for a second time. The first being with the election of Abraham Lincoln, which led to the shooting war. The reason we don't have two armies in the field is that the federal government is just simply too powerful. So there's nobody outside the government who can organize a military force that wouldn't be crushed immediately. So the Civil War is over who controls the executive branch. Think about that. Think about it. 5 days after the 2016 election, there was a meeting at the Mandarin. And I talked about this. Let's see if we can zoom a little bit more on that. Can we zoom on that? There we go. Look at that. That's better. There we are. Man, I kind of hate that it's not lined up just right, though. It's okay. So here's the thing. 5 days after the 2016 election, there was a meeting at the Mandarin Oriental, which is a very posh hotel in Washington, D.C. It was organized by George Soros. I told you. And there were something like 400 people there, including Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, Soros, Bernie Sanders, the Occupy Wall Street communists, the whole range of the left. What they did is form what they called a resistance. 70 Democrats boycotted the inauguration. This is sedition. Yes. I told you this is where the plan was hatched. I told you this. Horowitz also explained why the Electoral College was so important to the founders and why it's imperative to protect it in the face of Democratic attempts to abolish it. You can read more about that. It's true. We'll talk about the Electoral College because people will say, "Oh, we need to get rid of it. It's antiquated." No. Unless you've got some other scheme by which to have a check and balance that makes it a compromise that would make it so states would be willing to remain in. Because you had to do that in the beginning. That would be like a sleight of hand. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do the Electoral College where it doesn't just, if you're from Idaho or Nebraska, Dakota, that you're not just simply flyover, that you actually matter and you can actually make decisions without having mega cities like New York or what's now with LA and Chicago, Miami, Otherwise, you're basically run by those places. That's just it. So not only would they control the economic sector, they would control the political sector. And they're the big boo-hooers. They're bummed out about it. Sweet Harmony wrote, I hope you realize this means war, Big Bunny, Bugs Bunny. Yeah. It really is a war. Yes, yes. Horowitz also believes that the reason we're in a civil war is that the Democrat Party has weaponized race. The second thing with the Democrats, the reason there's a civil war is that it's a racist party. Identity politics is racism. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I feel badly about this, by the way. I do. I was all excited for Joe Rogan. You guys, if you never heard of Joe Rogan, well, who hasn't heard of Joe Rogan? Who watching right now is like, I never heard of this guy. Who's this guy? Who's Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan's a pretty popular dude. Pretty well-known fella. Okay? Yeah. Mega money guy. Super dupe loaded. Sorry about that. It's okay. Here's the thing. With him, we're seeing how this is playing itself out. Getting back, of course, to the whole cancel culture. We're seeing this even at the level of a guy who has famously got a $100 million contract with Spotify. Look at that guy right there. Look at him. $100 million. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. With Spotify. And it was all under the promise that they weren't going to meddle with his stuff, right? We're all scared of this. I'm scared. I wake up every day and I hop on Facebook, I hop on YouTube, and I say, am I still there? Because I say stuff that I know. There's lots of panties in bunches, okay? Lots of people very, very, very upset over things I've said. Probably flagging me. I've had stuff flagged before. It's over trans stuff. And it was over a topic. It was over an article. True stories of situations where men who were dressed as women walked into restrooms and did rapey on little girls. Oh, yeah. We're assured. Never happens. We made people upset. So we're all afraid. I'm a little guy. No, nothing big. But Joe Rogan, he was told, he has a lot of these people on. He does interviews all the time. Okay, he does interviews, Tim Pool, does interviews with, everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter. You could be a sports player. You could be a journalist. You could be a politician. You could be anybody under the sun. He'll have you on. It's just interviews. Elon Musk, right? Ones that were really popular, of course, were things with Gavin McInnes and Alex Jones and a couple others. But see, that's where it gets tricky. Because what part of the deal was he didn't like that YouTube was censoring, right? This is a control mechanism, and says, okay, well, we're going to take down your stuff, or we're gonna limit its reach. And he really didn't like the way that they were coming against free speech. That was what he said. If you take him at his word, and he said that Spotify had promised contractually that they would allow him to have every episode he's ever done. Every episode. And so the thing is that that's turned out to not be true. Last week, we first reported, this is PJ Media, that Spotify employees were demanding direct editorial oversight. And think about this, guys. Think about this. Post-Christian man. Over the recently acquired Joe Rogan Experience podcast. That would include the ability to directly edit Spotify employees, hey, I don't like part of the show. I'd like to be able to edit that out. Is that okay? I'd like to have that power. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, these people, what control freaks, man? These people are serious control freaks. What's wrong with you? That would include the ability to directly edit or remove sections of upcoming interviews or block the uploading of episodes deemed problematic. How many people does that word, every time you hear that word problematic, do you just grind your teeth? I can envision the person saying, yeah, that's like totally problematic. Do what's problematic is your use of that word and the way you say it. Grow a pair. Do better. The employees also demanded, oh, that's cute. Employees demanding? Oh, the ability to add trigger warnings. Oh my gosh. What did I tell you? I knew it. Grow up. This is mind-numbing stuff, guys. But this is what, look, they do it to tons of shows all the time. Corrections. References to fact-check articles. See, they're in this phony baloney world where they think, well, I went and did a fact check on it. I went to Snopes. I went to Wikipedia. Okay. You could go to them for a long time. I've used this example before. When we went to London for my daughter's Make-A-Wish trip. Okay? When we were leaving, I pick up newspapers. I love reading newspapers. Okay? Kind of old school like that. But the thing is that I was picking up these papers in London on our way out, and guess what? They were all blown away that apparently the Freemasons are a real thing. Or they were during the time of the Titanic and during the time, and we're talking not cuckoo bird, weirdo zines laying around, you know, the local rock bar or something. No. We're talking, this is their mainstream newspapers, all doing the same thing because, come to find out, what was it? It was Ancestry? Which group was it that had a deal, basically, to keep this hidden? And then they said, look, it's been long enough. You know, they asked if they could just release this information. And the Freemasons said, okay. And lo and behold, it's so big that leaders in the United Kingdom were saying that there's going to be revisions that will need to be done to the textbooks. Ooh. But yet, if you went to fact checks, this is just a conspiracy theory. Yeah, no. I mean, some conspiracy theories, yeah. Like the idea that the Big Mike one. I won't go into that other than to say, you know, the Big Mike conspiracy, what's her name, man? What's that lady's name? Oh, my gosh. Joan Rivers. Did that come from Joan Rivers? Was she the one that came up with that? I don't believe in Nibiru, that there's a big red plasma planet hidden by a combination of the chemtrails and big mirrors put in space. But there's a lot of these things that they call conspiracies that just simply aren't. Like, I don't know, the whole conspiracy to overthrow President Trump. That's real. That's real. Bombshell's coming out on that, by the way. Be ready for that. Some of the group's demands have already been met. Oh, cute. Though a refusal to allow further changes is stirring a talk of high-profile walkout or strike. Are you serious? So what? Let them go. Yeah, this is right. Right here. Trader Joe's had a perfect response to Wokistan. Wokistan. Another excellent rejection of the wokiest was Goya Foods. Yeah. Totally. Adam Carolla has a good analogy for what these companies did. He likens it to a bingo caller. I guess he was talking to Dave Rubin. And Dave Rubin, look, man, we got to talk because there was an instance, and I'm not going to throw this guy under the bus, but his name's David Smalley. I love the guy, but dude, he was on your show, and he had an opportunity. You actually brought up this idea of if he knew anybody who basically fits the exact description of me. And he said no. He said no. He since apologized for it, wasn't thinking in the moment. I'll take his word for it. I know he loves me. We're boys. I mean that sincerely. All joking aside, David Smalley, atheist activist, host of Dogma Debate. The guy's a nice guy. I consider him a friend, right? But on that show, man, he was asked, do you know anybody who's coming against critical race theory type stuff and postmodernism and feminism and the training, all that crap? And he said, oh, no, I don't know anybody. Dude, he knew me. He knows me. We got to talk. But Adam Carolla, okay? He likens it to a bingo caller. The caller spins a cage and calls the ball. Once the ball is called, it's put to the side. All the other balls get spun around and around again. The people who stand up to the mob are like the ball that is outside the cage. Those who cave stay in the cage and will get spun again and again. This is totally true, man. Totally true. I was going to go through this. I won't. But I think this is really important because we've got to move on. This is something that when we're talking about what's going on in our country, we're talking about, what's happening in our culture. Why are things so different now than they used to be? Why does it feel that the 80s and the 90s and even the early 2000s, that was almost like an entirely different universe? Why? What shifted? Was it CERN? Was it the Hydra Collider? Is that what this is all about? Are we in the Mandela effect? Is that happening right now? Have different dimensions collided and done their little thing, and now we're in this funky world? What is the cause of it, and where is it going? And questions like this from Quillette.com. There's a piece called Toward a New Cultural Nationalism. Excellent. But these are questions that were asked. These are questions that are asked. They really cut to the chase of the problem. They're asking do you agree, disagree, partially agree? Do you believe that we should rebalance the history taught in schools until its voices and subjects reflect the demographics of the population and heritage of Native people and citizens of color? Should we rename our cities and towns until they match the demographics of the population? Should we have a different national anthem? Should we rebalance the art shown in museums until an analysis of content shows that it reflects the demography of the population and perspective of Native people and citizens of color? I mean, you could go on and on. Should we rename our streets and neighborhoods until they match the demographics of the population? Should we gently remodel the Statue of Liberty to make it better reflect the diversity of America? Are there people out there like that? I need somebody to draw a plan for me. We need to come up with a plan. We need to have the Statue of Liberty, okay? And now it should be the Statue of Equity, because liberty is overrated. I mean, that comes with things like religion and free thought and stuff and speech. And so obviously we can't do that. And freedom of people to assemble and to peaceably protest, it doesn't say anything about masks. And so what we need right now, is somebody to come up with a blueprint, right? One of you guys out there, we've got some great artists out there watching the show, okay? What I need is this. I need a drawing to pitch that is going to, what I envision for this, for the replacement of liberty by equity. First of all, this character obviously needs to be a woman. I mean, let's keep it that way. That's obviously a good thing. Women are definitely top notch right now. So you want the woman, you need that woman probably to be a lesbian or an M to F, to be fair, because they are equally women. So make it M to F. That's like a double dues, right? M to F and Eskimo. Right? Not Eskimo. What's the proper term for that? They don't even have Eskimo pies anymore. What do they call it? Inuits? Whatever. So yeah, we need a M to F, Eskimo with a collar, like a priest collar, Roman collar, the rainbow stole, curly red hair, Ronald McDonald-esque, kind of like, kind of like the senator from Michigan, looking a little bit like Ronald McDonald's twin sister. So we need a little bit of that in a wheelchair. So do that. So yeah, so M to F, Eskimo priestess in an LGBT stole with curly red hair and in a wheelchair. That is the Lady of Equity, right? The statue of equity, or come up with your own. Oh, that's not, yeah, okay. I've been assured in the comment section that's not a woman. Yeah. And I've also been that Michael is real. Michael. The idea that Michelle Obama is a dude. That's what Joan Rivers hinted at. And that's the big Mike thing. But we're at a place, people ask, I recently had somebody ask me, they said, well, how do you get out of this, man? Dude, how do you get out of a situation where you're surrounded by people who are completely out of their minds? Like the girl, man, I feel so badly about this girl. Obviously lots of problems. There's a video, she's in a car. And apparently there was a bunch of trucks that drove by, and they had Trump flags and American flags and Blue Lives Matter flags. And she was saying that she's shaking. I'm shaking so badly right now. She was terrified. I'm so scared right now. What? You think they're going to drive by and be like, let's go get her right now. She's parked, trembling like a leaf. Better go get her. She's terrified. It was like three. It was like 3 trucks, man. What were you scared of? But we're living in a world where people are like that. They're afraid. They're afraid to go to see certain people, even to know that person might be on campus to speak. Like if people knew what I believed on campuses, and I've spoken on many campuses, but if I went to a campus, right, and they were like, Jeremiah Bannister, who's that guy? And they looked at him and said, oh my gosh, that guy. Look at what he believes. Look what he believes about race. Look what he believes about gender. Look what he believes about tolerance and diversity and multiculturalism. Look at what he believes. They'd feel like it was a violent act to invite me there. I've never one time promoted violence against people. I have sat there and said, one of my main concerns about all of this going on is that it will inevitably result in that. And people say, well, then, how do you get it down? They say, well, you don't sound like you're getting it down. Getting it down, sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. Sometimes you got to sit there and say, look, a lot of people, like deans in colleges and stuff, they'll say to students being forced to go through re-education camps and stuff, where they're taught how evil they are because of the color of their skin, because they're whitey McWhitey pants and they like the opposite sex and stuff. And maybe they're Christian. That's even worse. And so you add those things together, you're basically Hitler. And so you need to be retooled and stuff. And if any of those kids feel that they've been slighted or wronged even in something that just maybe a student says, they're assured by the deans, listen and absorb. Or just even if you don't absorb, right? Even if you don't, you just secretly keep it. You just say, I don't believe it, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. That is promising. That right there is saying, get inside the coffin, put the top on, they will nail it in for you. Good luck. Goodbye. We cannot do that. I won't. I am so sorry to tell you. Sorry, not sorry. I will not do that. Same thing with Christianity. We can't do that. We played footsies with the world for a long time, and look where it got us. Look where it got us. Anyone old enough to see it is just mind blown. It's a guilt complex. We need to get over this. Tachymac. Guilt complex. Theodore Dalrymple. Is that his real name? The selfie is perhaps the defining cultural artifact of our time. Totally true. And I get flack for this, man, because I say I hate selfies. I do. I hate taking them. It's awkward, and I'm kind of thing. And plus, I see them all the time, and I'm thinking, if you've seen one, you've seen like all of them. I'm sorry to say that too. I know people that will take a selfie in their car almost every day. Good morning, everybody. What's up? Checking in. And it's the same face. Or they've got two faces. They got soy face and flat face. And so many of them, it's the cleavage shot. We all know what that is. Come on now, ladies. And the dudes that are doing that. Sickos. But I've been a critic of that for a long time. It's okay. Sometime one reads about the taker of a selfie who's died as a result of a fall down a precipice because he was trying to get a much better picture of himself. That's like really tragic, though. Think about that. I mean, that's like the worst kind of panic. Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to get a better shot of myself. Whoa! Splat on the ground. They're high up enough, and all of a sudden a helicopter. All the kids over the fence, traumatized. I hate to laugh at that, but dude, sometimes, come on, man. Sometimes just come on. It's like, I don't want to get distracted really, but this is funny, okay? There was, when I was in college, there was this guy. I was down at Christ for the Nations Bible College. And there were people from all over the place. It's rightly described as Christ for the Nations. That's a good name for it because there really are people from many, many, many different nations who are there. And I had friends that were from South Africa. And they were talking to me about how much they disliked Adam Sandler. They didn't understand Adam Sandler. And this is back, what would be 98? Right? So, I mean, this is old school. It's like right after SNL, I think. And so they didn't understand him. They didn't understand how anybody thought that was funny. And so we got in this conversation. I asked them, what do you guys think's funny? And they showed me this picture, and they were cracking up. It was a picture in a magazine. And it wasn't even a funny magazine. It's like a serious magazine, like something theological or something. And it shows this boat. And there are these men in this canoe. And the canoe is being ravaged by a hippo. And the people are like flying out super scared. And I'm like, whoa, dude, how do you think that's funny? You guys are sick, man. Or like the person, they said it was a situation where there was a buddy of theirs. Kind of like that, the fat kid that pulls up his shirt in the Goonies and stuff. Like the way they described me, kind of vision like that, right? So this kid, they're all on a bike and they're all out. And they see this big, huge herd of wildebeest, right? Massive. We're talking huge numbers, the kind of thing you see in Lion King, okay? And that they were taunting these things, which they knew they should not do, but they were taunting. And all of a sudden, the wildebeest start rumbling. And they're like, whoa, no. So they all book out of there super duper fast, okay? And as they're trying to get away, all of a sudden behind them, they hear, help, help. And they turn around, and their buddy, he's pedaling as fast as he can, sweat pouring down his face. And his chain was broken. His chain was broken. And they're way ahead. And they're seeing the wildebeest just, steam coming out of the nose. Just barreling in behind him. That guy got totally trampled. Lived, I guess, many, many injuries. But he lived. Right? Unlike Simba's dad. Unlike Simba's dad. But they saw then, I asked him, I said, what's so funny about that? He said, well, it's funny because they said, there's nothing you can do about it. And I guess that's a way of dealing with something. Yeah, I mean, it's tragic that somebody falls over a cliff onto helicopter blades trying to take a selfie. But, you got to keep going on. Let's see. Oddly enough, the best commentary on selfies I ever saw was a cartoon in the English language paper of Bahrain. A young man was taking a selfie beside the corpse in an open coffin just before the funeral. If it were not a paradox, I should say the shallowness could go no deeper. Posing and posturing have become a mass phenomenon. The tattooing of our time. I love that. This guy's a great writer, by the way. Of nothing is this more true than the contemporary woke morality. Whereas not long ago, young people in the middle classes sought to express their sympathy for the lower and supposedly oppressed orders by imitating their tattoos and way of dress. Imitation being the highest form of empathy available to egotists. They now express that same desire by making wokeness the touchstone of their morality. They think they're rebelling when, of course, they are conforming. They don't realize that this is more difficult and more courageous to contradict a friend than to criticize a society. Now, here's the thing. If you're guilty of something, you should feel badly about that. And he's right. And its level should be proportionate to the bad action or the omission. Yeah. Which goes back to the whole idea of on what authority, by what basis, by what authority are they saying this? Disproportionate guilt is a vice, a manifestation of the sin of pride. Yes. And that's where we are with this. That's where we are with so much of this. If you ask people, there's a lot of people who they don't even really truly in their heart of hearts believe what they say they believe. Wokistan is comprised of creasters. People who do what they've got to do without much critical reflection because deep down inside they don't really believe. The difference being that one, if you say, well, the creasters, they have something to inspire, something that says that God came down and took on flesh. The incarnation dramatically transformed the world. All of human history can make us better. Regeneration, rebirth, forgiveness, reconciliation. A God who died for us, right? And not just died, but rose again, has all power and authority right now. And what does Wokistan have? Marvel movies. George Floyd. Breonna Taylor. And lots of guilt. Guilt for the way you were born. Guilt for the way that you love. Entirely natural, by the way. While I feel guilt for my own bad actions or omissions, the kind of things that are under my direct control, I do not feel guilt that my own life has been a comparatively fortunate one. Probably more fortunate than that of the majority of mankind. Me too. It's like when Trump was talking to Woodward, and Woodward, is like, obviously, Trump says he's drinking the Kool-Aid. It was obvious. He's like, don't you feel really badly about this? No, actually. I'm grateful. I could have been born in a much worse place. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my ancestors. All right. Before we go, I started a little late, so I'll run over till 10 after 12 or so. But I need to talk about this. We're going to skip over some things that are really important. Really, really important. Here we go. They might as well put bones through their noses. John Derbyshire. If you don't know who John Derbyshire is, awesome. Awesome is over at VDare.com. John Derbyshire on the corruption of Scientific America. For more on the ongoing... Okay, right. Let's get this down. For more on the ongoing corruption of American science by ideology, see Heather McDonald's article, Conformity to a Lie, in the summer issue of City Journal. Heather quotes the revolting... I like Heather McDonald, by the way. Yeah. Great stuff. Heather quotes the revolting statements of self-abasement issuing from college presidents and faculty heads about how they must strive harder to purge their institutions of systemic racism and white privilege. And not just that, because that gives them the sense that they're not identifying with it. But instead, they go further. They go further. Kind of like Northwestern, where all of the teachers, as Rod Dreher talked about it at American Conservative, that all these teachers, including one he knows, who's a good person, beloved by students, begins like they do at AA meetings. Hi, I'm Joe Schmo, and I'm a racist. What? Are you really? I didn't know you hated black people. That's pretty messed up, dude. Oh, no, I don't hate black people. Oh, you don't? Well, I mean, like you beat them up or something? You denied them a job when they were qualified or something? No, you treat them differently in your testing and your grades and everything? No. So, you haven't done anything racist? Well, no, but I am racist because I'm part of a system. That's original sin, dude. You've replaced... It's your post-Christian crap. Oh. It's a cult. It is a cult. That's why they won't debate either. Their arguments suck. Their arguments are trash. Which is why Big Boss Money Pants, we talked about earlier, why he can't come up with any money or any, Mr. Kendi, Ibram Kendi. That guy's a voodoo doctor. He's a voodoo doctor of the cult. He's a shaman. Giving everybody the drugs they need to feel the guilt. Yes, in the comment section. It's a mass psychosis. Totally 100%. And look, Michael Savage, I said this before, Michael Savage says that liberalism is a mental disorder. Even if that was true, it's missing the point. It comes from a spiritual disorder. It's a spiritual disorder. They no longer see themselves as creatures of God. They no longer see themselves as products of a triune God. They do not believe in the incarnation. You don't believe in that incarnation, your concept of redemption is toast. It is toast. And if you can't redeem an individual, you can't redeem groups. And what do you do with irredeemable groups? You answer that. You answer it. Derbyshire says, to my mind, nothing is worse than the corruption of science. And he lists a couple of these articles here. I think there's things that are worse. But objective, reasoned scientific inquiry is the crowning glory of Western civilization. There's a point to this, too. These solemn declarations of guilt and repentance are a regression to what came before, and that is superstition and witch doctoring. Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. These so-called academics might as well put bones through their noses. Yeah. Someone in the comment section goes, their arguments are dumb doo-doo. Yes. To quote a dear elder I grew up learning from, yes. Dumb doo-doo. Totally true. Dumb doo-doo. But it all pretends to be science. And this upsets me. And we got to take this on. So you can't, to deal with this, and I'll save this one for next time. We'll go to the blog, to the memes, because that way it won't go forever. I won't go. Bam. Okay. So here's the thing. In trying to be more than just simply a reaction, I don't just want to do. I don't want to get up here and just simply be like, oh, well, let's find the worst things in the world today and just talk about that. Here, guys, tune in to the show in the morning so that I can make you depressed. But there's a balance. I also don't want you to be under this idea that we don't have to do anything, or that we don't even have to be aware of what's going on, or we don't have to, that we don't have to not only not be aware, but to be literate. To be literate of those movements and ideas and values that are literally ravaging everything we once loved, everything we cared for, everything we believed in, everything that made us who we are and allowed us to be and to aspire to become what we dreamed. We have to know. You got to know. And yes, by the way, in the comment section, you're seeing different comments on the screen. Okay. In fact, let me see if I can't scroll down here. Yours is just below the cutoff line. The reason for that is because I'm using a platform that has all of it together. It's so that the person can see it. I want to provide it to you so that you can see in real time that other people are in fact commenting, and if it's big enough, that you'd be able to respond back. But yes, I don't know where you're watching it, but if you're watching it, you may be on YouTube and watching it, and you may be the only person commenting. Other people might be on Facebook. Other people, I have many there's different YouTube channels that are actually playing the show. I hope you're a Paleocrat, though. I could use it. I could use all that. Oh, yeah. But you have to be literate and you have to have fun. That's why I said, never give up. Keep on smiling. My daughter, before her untimely death of brain cancer, my daughter was so sagacious because she had heart. She was patriotic. She loved this country. She loved her family. And she loved to dream. She loved people. She loved people. And so she knew, even from her own heart, this concept of never give up, keep on smiling. And if I was brave enough to add, and I do at the end of every show, to add a kind of postscript, it would be memento mori. It was, in fact, the only Latin word that she knew, Latin words. Remember your death. Remember death. It's coming for us all. And not just physically, but deaths of systems. We can look in time and see it. And everybody played a role. Not always active, not always intense, not always funny, not always purely productive. But the idea is each person played a role. And I'm hoping that you will, from this show and from whatever other shows you may be watching or books you may be reading, you should be reading way more than watching, even on my show. Okay? If you told me, I'm sorry I didn't see your show, I was reading a bunch of books, I'd be like, dude, you're awesome. It's okay. Do that. I'm sorry I wasn't reading your show, I was outside working on a garden. Look, dude, yes. For real. But that we will begin doing those things that say, not nostalgically, that just go, well, I like the way that it used to be. That's like asking for Fall Guy to come back on the air. Okay, I mean, look, Fall Guy's a great show. Cool truck. There's a hot lady in it, right? Like all 80s shows. Kind of the tough dude, the cool truck, super hot lady, and the Dukes and stuff. So yeah, man. But we're not just nostalgic. We have this idea that says, I have one foot in the past, one foot walking forward, and my head in the present. And I'm taking those things that are best of who we've been, the democracy of the dead, and we're taking that along because it's wisdom. And we're looking ahead and seeing what's ahead and what we desire to be that maybe our forefathers fell short in making to come to pass. And that I'm here right now. And what does that require of us? It's going to be different for everybody. So I don't just want to just start your day by just getting all ticked off. Super chat, you might need, for super chat, you would probably need, this is in the comments, you would probably need to go to Holy Faith TV. I think it's Holy Faith TV 1. I believe that there's a super chat there. All right, Sweet Harmony, yes. You're off to pray the rosary now on LifeSite News. Yeah, I got a friend who works over there. Father Polari. Yes. Pray for me. Pray for the completion of the book about my daughter's life and death with cancer. And it's under review right now, editorial review. Pray that that goes well. And thank you, by the way, Sweet Harmony. But I want to be able to provide that. And one way that we can do that every day. And look, I'll tell you this real quick. Before moving on, I'll tell you this. I'm actually going to probably do more than Monday and Thursday and Saturday. I'm probably going to be doing something every day, not 2 hours like this. Because it's kind of hard, man, if people say, well, when are you on? You know, it used to be like, oh, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, or something like that. And it's like Mondays, Thursdays, Saturday. People are like, what? What is that, man? That's leaving people a little discombobulated. Oh, man. Oh, no. Hold on. We're going back to this. Because I can't let you see that. Otherwise, it ruins all the memes. We're going to have to blow through these pretty quickly. So I'm going over big time. But it'll be fun. Okay? Okay, we're going back now. And I didn't use this one. Why didn't I use that? Why didn't I use that one? All right. News and comment. There we go. First of all, look at this. That is a picture from the baptism. My little guy, Wolfgang Phoenix. My super hot half-Korean wife. Our priest, the proxy, my buddy Leonard. He prayed for me for years. There's a great story behind that. I'll tell it sometime. A really, really, really great story. And yes, I will be covering Project Veritas at some point. Pope Francis, okay. We need to dismantle the perverse logic that links personal and national security to the possession of weaponry. So why you ride around in a 10-foot bulletproof dome with armed security? Look, I defend the Pope. I'm a Catholic. I'm not the kind of rad trad that gets off every day on bashing Pope Francis. I don't. My kids go to the ordinary form of the Mass 4 days a week, the Latin one 2 days. Okay, because they have Mass at the beginning of school every day, and then they have Mass on Sundays. We go to the extraordinary form on Thursday and Sunday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday is the ordinary form. So we're not like, we're not out there SSPXing it up. We're not sedevacantists, right? I used to be. But this kind of nonsense is dumb. The perverse logic. Well, Holy Father, I would never tell you to do this, but per your logic, you got to get rid of the guards, man. You got to get rid of the guards. Sorry. Tell them to go back. They look super cool. They're mega warriors. Send them back. Worst races ever. Okay, what's this? President Trump releases the Platinum Plan for Black Americans. Opportunity, security, prosperity, and fairness. Yeah. Okay. Because you're not supposed to have sex with your family. It's what? Okay, yeah, all right, obviously. It's wrong, and if you have a kid, it'll mess them up. Look at what happened to the English monarchs. Oh, somebody replied. Family is a social construct. Oh, really? You knew this was coming, folks. Wow. Family is a social contract. Please, you are not supposed to. What? Who are we to decide what two consensual adults are going to do? I don't get it. Wow, man. Is that person real? I don't know about that. Ira blank blank. Yeah, no way. Unifaries? I don't know about that. Fat, frail, and unesthetic is a state of mind first. Then a physical condition second. Okay, that's kind of cool. To reshape your body, reframe your mind, expurgate from your mind weakness, indolence, doubt, excuses, and that disgusting victim mentality. The body is only an outward manifestation of the quality of the mind. I'm going to read this whole thing. Pretty good. Who wrote that? Oh, PB Uncensored. I got that. Okay, Chowder. I love this show, by the way. Chowder. I watch cartoons, man. I do. I'm a strong defender of cartoons. Love it. I like a lot of the vintage stuff, to be frank. I like, G.I. Joe. I like Super Friends. I like He-Man. So I like all those, obviously. They're amazing cartoons. But I like ones, I even like SpongeBob, to be honest. I like SpongeBob. I'm really upset. I was genuinely upset when they were talking about how he's Captain Rainbow Pants. Chowder, why is she so mad at you? Well, women have these things in their bodies called expectations. Ladies, don't get mad at me. You know I love you, right? We're not just a show for dudes. I know it gets intense a little bit. I should do more lady-friendly things. I know. I've heard your cry. I'm here for you, okay? I know. It's all right. Can a toothbrush be sexist? What? Why am I paying $9,000 for this? Is this serious? They see it in everything, man. Men crave duty, a cause to defend. I don't know who those guys are. A cross to bear, a family to protect. Okay, I got you. Oh. Proud Boys statement. Fred Perry does not support and is in no way affiliated with the Proud Boys. Oh. It's incredibly frustrating that this group has appropriated our black, yellow twin-tipped shirt and subverted our laurel wreath to their own ends. It ain't ever gonna stop, brother. Never gonna stop. Yeah, what do those shirts look like? Have you guys ever seen those shirts? All right. You should watch more shows. Oh, okay, yeah, I gotta talk about this. What kind of family? I got this on somebody went and they were checking out a video on my channel that is talking about my daughter's life and death with childhood brain cancer and how that how God used that in a way that eventually resulted in our family returning to the Catholic Church. It's what's detailed in the book. And it was the first video that I had made in 16 months. Because I went to confession for like the first time in, 12 years, 8 years, 9 years after falling away from the church and, getting back into the church. And the priest knew me. He knew what I'd been through. He knew the kind of activism I had done, the speaking engagements all over the place, the blogging and the AM, FM radio and all that stuff. And he said, look, you got to cool it. There's none. Go to church, read the Bible, pray every day, spend time with your family, frequent the sacraments for a year. I did it. And I came back after that time and I made a video talking about why we love Sacred Heart Academy so much. First video I made after all that time. First video I made talking about me being back with the church. So this guy goes and sees it and he goes, this is what he wrote. So, it's like super emotional, man. People are in the comments crying like, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. Sharing it left and right. And here's this cat. What kind of family actually calls their dad Papa? That's just bizarre. Unless you're from like rural Europe or something. Oh my gosh, dude. What a weirdo. What a weirdo, man. So I wrote, wow. You took stupid to a whole new level. Yeah, look, is this guy ignorant? And I wrote this. Jacobson's maximal contrast hypothesis. Does he not understand that? It's like universal, dude. Or cross-culture similarities in childhood designations for mother and father derived, like in our family's case, from baby talk. Are you oblivious to its French, Latin, and Greek etymology? Or that these three languages and cultures played a deep and dynamic role in the formation of the English language, not to mention American history and culture? Or how about the fact that the English variant is common enough to be deemed old-fashioned? This list could go on and on, but I'll leave it at that. Sorry, I'm just not into beating the living daylights out of a dead horse. And he got back on there and he's like, well, I could understand if you're from a certain area of the world. And I'm like, you didn't read anything I wrote. Nothing. I owned you, dude. Go read, brother. Educate yourself. There's a lot in there. There's a lot of commas and stuff. There's a lot of sentences. And in those sentences, you'll find a lot of things you can read. Yeah. You know what? Oh. Marvin Gaye. I'm sorry, I just skipped over a whole bunch of these things here. We're going way over time. Marvin Gaye, what's going on? Marvin Gaye's masterpiece began as a reaction to police brutality. Oh, no wonder it's number one. Rolling Stones made it number one. I got it. I do use my mask in public. Okay, if you've got memes, you've got to send them. Antifa and BLM when they see somebody's 80-year-old grandma peacefully eating at a restaurant. How dare they? You seen those videos? Just crazy. Come on, friend. Do a terror. No. I think this will be the last one. Okay. Corruption, incompetence, dementia, racism, nepotism. By the powers combined, I am, the thing. All right, everybody. All right, I am over my time. So here we go. Thank you so much. It's been a great first episode from 10 to noon. I love this time slot. I hope I didn't bump into anybody. That'd be really terrible. But just make sure, make sure that you tune back in. I'm going to try at PALEOCRAT, youtube.com/PALEOCRAT. You can see this, find all that at PALEOCRATDiaries.com. Posting stuff regularly, even making something, even if it's only 15 minutes, to sit down, talk about an article, share some memes, have some fun, tell stories about my family, because I really want to get back to that. Okay? And so we're going to have to do this. It's going to be tons of fun. Make sure also, if you're interested in interviews, speeches, and other inquiries, I would even consider doing debates. I've challenged people. I'd be down with doing some debates, roundtables, everything. PALEOCRATDiaries@gmail.com. And of course, check out my work over at Paleo Cheese Podcast and the Meaning of Catholic. On 10/9, okay, so the 9th of this upcoming month, I'm going to be debating Timothy Flanders over whether or not Catholics should vote for Donald Trump or if they could either abstain or vote third party. I, of course, am the MAGA man, so I'm definitely supporting Donald J. Trump. And so make sure to set that aside. And, of course, every Sunday, we're trying to make it every Sunday night, pretty late, but Sunday night, normally that's when the new episodes of Paleo Cheese Podcast, that's way different. It's mainly about movies, books, interviews with different authors. And we're even bringing on people who aren't authors, but maybe review movies or have directed. Eventually like to really round that out, bring you actors in and other things to talk about the entire production, right? How is this done? What is required? What are the different ways of looking at it? Cinematographers, I would love to talk with them about this. Even costume design people. So there's a lot going on with that. And lastly, make sure check out Holy Faith TV on YouTube, and I believe it was a Catholic Media on Facebook. You're going to begin seeing every day a 4-minute news, 3-4 minute around there news segment, right? Really powerful. Okay. A great voice, by the way. You should listen. It's a good one. Very good editing put together and putting that out. Share those far and wide. They're easy, they're fun, they're good, and share it far and wide. We're grateful for all that. Of course, pray for everybody that we talked about at the beginning. I'll see you back again. I'll see you back again, not live, but maybe live, but not the live show tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to see you on Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. All right. Never give up, friends. Keep on smiling. And memento mori. If I don't talk into microphones, I don't make that mad cash. Making all that money. Making that mad loot, right?
Mind control.
So we see the minority elite imposing their ideology on an unwilling and resentful populace. This causes a backlash. People get ticked off.
The left is working long and hard to make us feel as if we've done something wrong. Worse yet, that we are the problem. Don't let people just rip on your heritage. Don't let people just rip on your traditions. Don't let people rip on your heroes. Stand up for what you believe, what made you who you are. So unless this disenfranchised majority begins standing up for what they believe in their heart of hearts to be true, I think we'd be left with nothing more than a dirge, and maybe a funeral procession.